Hello everybody and welcome to this video of Awesomenauts, yours truly, SlowWolf. So this game is, well, it was a good game. I had a lot of fun with it, but unfortunately my commentary for it was not recorded. So now I'm commentating over it. We're spectating my match. Which is really weird, but there you go. So this game started off really bad. If you're taking a look at the minimap, we're down to one tower. We haven't even scratched theirs. The team that I jumped in on had 2 levers. Unfortunately, the poor Leon was 3v1 pretty much the entire game until me and the Yuri showed up. And I walked into this, and the first thing that the other team said was, "Sorry, Slow." I'm like, okay, well, gotta do what I can. So it's at this point where I'm busy extolling the virtues of not giving up, and lo and behold, by the end of this, you'll see the freak why it's a bad idea to give up. Especially on a late game like this, when there's no good reason why the other team should have lost. Like, the Leon was doing a good job. So the first thing that happens is I come into this. As you guys can notice, they're all extremely low, and I have that Yuri dead to rights. He had no idea. Like, he was not expecting me to show up. There's just no way to expect that I was going to show up. Like, they play the entire game without a Vinny on the other team, and then lo and behold, Vinny dashes in and murders his face. So that kind of sucked. But now they know that I'm here. They start playing around me. And they start doing what they can. Keep particular attention on the Ted, by the way. I've said it before, not necessarily on video, but I've said to a couple of people that I find that Ted tends to counter Vinny pretty well. His shotgun does a good job of making sure that Vinny can't chase. Although this game, for some crazy reason, I end up doing really well against the Ted to the point where I even start preying on him. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but there we go. Yuri goes down again, underestimating what we can do to him. I'm thinking that he didn't have immunity at this point in time against the Leon. He didn't think he needed it. Well, once he got teammates that were competent, yeah, he needed it. Immunity on Bubble is ridiculously good. It's always been ridiculously good, and I find that it's just one of the best upgrades in the game. Probably needs to be changed. So, right there, I should have just dashed the Ted McPain. I should have just guessed where he was by looking at the minimap, but I wasn't looking at my minimap. I was thinking, oh, when I see him, I'll get him. But he was far enough behind his turret that he couldn't. And instead, right there, I kind of guessed where the Lone Star was going to be, and I hit him for it. So that was good. I didn't get a kill, naturally, but harassing them for 70 damage is still something that's worth doing. If you can always do the damage with Vinny, that's definitely worth doing. And it's not hard to land his dashes either once you get the hang of them, and especially once you get the range. So, oh, the poor Ted walks in on Yuri's mines. Never a good idea to go ahead and try to get a Yuri who's been sitting on one area for the past little while. Usually ends up with you dying. I'm just trying to play it safe at this point. I'm just trying not to die. I'm poking as much as I can, and I'm pushing as often as I can. I'm trying to push both lanes actively because it seems like they're having a hard time trying to compensate for this new player. The Lone Star had Mega Bull by then, Super Breed, so I couldn't quite just dash to kill it, which is a pretty severe weakness of Lone Star's Bull, is late game, when people can just one-shot kill it. If you can get the Super Breed, that helps alleviate that problem and makes his Bull useful throughout the entire game. On top of that, it also makes it a lot bigger and pushes people around a lot better, so that's really important. So at this point, I pick up the last 2 upgrades I needed on my Cloud, and I was thinking about picking up another upgrade, but I didn't because I remembered that I have the Bag of Goldfish upgrade. So the Bag of Goldfish upgrade, it's important to keep it in mind at all times with Vinny, because otherwise you lose out on a lot of damage. But if you're willing to take the risks, then to just farm up the extra solar that you need in order to get it to work again, hey, you know what? Go for it. Pick up all the stuff you need. But Bag of Goldfish is particularly important, and you really do want the 15 damage all the time. It's worth keeping the 150 solar in the bank. At this point, I'm just playing safe around the Ted. As you guys noticed earlier, I dashed away from his beam instead of using it to deal damage to him. I dashed for mobility purposes. I do that a couple of other times in this game. At one point, especially to juke downwards to avoid the Lone Star. You'll see that later on. So I managed to get in another dash. I managed to hit them both for 70, so that's 140 total damage because they grouped up way too close together. That's good for me. The Ted is now a bit hurt. He's just using Stim Pack to the best of his ability. Number play manages to take out Unknown, which is a good pickoff. Our Yuri unfortunately dies a couple of times for no really good reason, unfortunately. Our Leon just manages to miss the tongue. Either that or the Yuri has immunity at this point, and unfortunately can't kill the Lone Star either, probably because Bull was off cooldown again at some point. I got hurt. At this point, I'm just reeling from that, just trying to get some HP. I'm going to go back and pick up some upgrades that I desperately need. So I pick up the range, which is needed, and I managed to keep the rest of my money, so that way I can keep my goldfish tax up and running. again, by goldfish tax, I am referring to the bag of goldfish upgrade. Some people don't know what I mean when I say that. That's what I mean when I say that. Goldfish tax. Seems to make sense. You do need to pay your taxes, you know? You need to pay off the mob, see? I really do like the upgrade. Oh, at first, I actually didn't. I remember when I first saw the upgrade, I thought that it was demented, that it was one of the first upgrades you picked up. Like, if you look at his loadout, when you're leveling up as Vinny, it's the upgrade you get. You don't get the chrome file, which gives you 20 straight damage all the time. You get the bag of goldfish, which gives you 15 damage some of the time. And that always puzzled me. So, over the course of time, though, I've quite enjoyed the bag of goldfish upgrade, and I think that it plays nicely into Vinny's role, and it forces new Vinnies to kind of play differently. So, I'm not sure if that was an intentional design decision, but there you go. So I go down there. I didn't mean to hit that second mine, so I just dash away and use the cloud to get away as quickly as possible as well. Now, at this point, I think I break my goldfish tax in picking up the godfish. And this, I only need another 40 solar, so that's not hard to do, especially as Vinny if you have solar cloud. I don't know how the heck that bouncer works, but hey, I went flying. So I'm going to go ahead, Cloud, get the money I need off of his creeps, Ted's, and off of the Ted himself. I managed to pick up those things, take a couple of mines to my face, but I don't really care. I'm Vinny. It's Vinny with triple HP. I can take 1 or 2 Ted mines to the face. And I do mean that they're Ted mines. They are not grenades. Ronimo, if you're watching this, they are not grenades. Grenades explode after like a half a second. I haven't thrown a grenade personally, but I'm pretty sure that's how they work. It's not this thing that you just kind of leave on the ground. But it's still good. So the Ted got completely cornered. He got dashed, he got shot at, he got tongued, and this is where I got my killing spree. So all the power to me. I got my cool trumpet sounds. I'm happy about that. The Godfish is now active, which is good telegraphing. Not many other abilities in this game telegraph. That's something else that bothers me a little bit, is that some other abilities need to telegraph the same way that the Godfish does. The Godfish gives you a really healthy looking glow around you, so that way you always know if it's active. For instance, right now I'm doing the 6 damage that I need to be, and you saw me, I was all gold and glowy. Other upgrades that need to do that include Ray's double damage on her blaster. She needs to have a weird glow, like a pink one to her, or a purple one, or one that looks like a bunch of bullets circling around her. I don't care, but figure out something so that way it looks like she's got that going on. And the same thing goes for Frog's Ninja Worms, the one that allows him to get extra damage after he dashes or something. That needs some telegraphing too, Ronald. Just saying right now, right here. So if you guys have noticed, we've managed to keep the one tower and knock down one of theirs. Okay, we're still not winning, but we're definitely pushing out, and we're doing a lot of good work. The Ted is now in a really bad spot. I want to get him, but I don't know why I didn't. Like, I don't know why I didn't just dash him. I'm trying to think of the reason why, and I can't think of it. That was a play error on my part. I should have just dashed him and killed him. He would have been an easy kill, and I would have been probably perfectly safe. So now going down here, I see a bunch of red dots. I want to do something. Ow, that hurt. That hurt too. I'm just going to walk away from that, get a little bit of money from whoever's standing in my cloud for whatever reason. Yeah, please feed the Vinny some money. At this point, I'm still not picking up the extra damage upgrade, keeping my goldfish tax up and running. Now, here's where I die. I dash in. Yeah, so there's a lot of Ted mines, and I got mined by the Yuri immediately afterwards, so I died. It's at this point where I thought that this is all over, that I was gonna die. But lo and behold, the Leon's gonna be doing a lot of work right now. Just give it a couple of seconds. He's going to do a bunch of stuff. Now, it's at this point that I'm talking about the Yuri's build. If you guys will notice, he has Piggy Bank and Solar Tree in his loadout, which is not ideal, and boots. The reason why this isn't ideal is because you have no survivability at this point. No pills, no nothing to keep you from dying instantly. And because this metagame right now, as it stands, is heavily, burst, because Ted's 40 damage shotguns, the mines exploding, like even the gnomes that Skoldir has, they all do a lot of burst damage. And you really do need to keep that in mind when you're thinking of which builds you want. So getting Tree Bank is a good way to start off and to have a good, strong early game, but your late game will suffer incredibly for it. So I heftily recommend that you do not pick up both Piggy Bank and Solar Tree. You will likely get yourself killed. So at this point, I drop the cloud, and then I shoot the turret specifically, not the creeps, just the turret. So that way I can get the coins off of the creeps and get some HP back for it. And then still backdoor a little bit. So that's one way to backdoor as Vinny. So I managed to take out the turret. Voila. Good job, us. We managed to take out another turret. That was an excellent thing for us as a team. Managed to pick that up, take 20 damage in return. You know what? Whatever. Net gain of 20 HP, I'm fine with that. So I don't die again at this point. I never die for the rest of the game, which is good. Alright, so at this point, they are far too grouped up. I go in, I put in a lot of damage. The Yuri is getting pantsed. The rest of them are very low, but I just can't justify going in. It takes one bullet to kill me at that point, and I really couldn't go after the other two. They were extremely low. A couple of them pick up creeps, I believe, in the jungle. They manage to get some HP, so that way they stick around, like this Ted, and then the Ted gets mauled by the two of us. I managed to put in 70 damage and at least one burst of extremely powerful bubbles, and then the Leon tongues him to finish him off. So Ted, bad move there, buddy. You should not have been anywhere near there. So at this point, I'm just playing for safety. I'm just harassing the Lone Star, and then I was getting out. What I should have done was think about the bull cooldown, because if he had his bull up, I would have died horribly there. I would have been pinned to the turret and instantly killed. That would have sucked terribly. That would have been a very bad death. We probably would have lost the game if that had happened. At this point, I fly up instead of trying to go down. I end up getting caught out by the Lone Star's result. Now, the Lone Star has me dead to rights at this point. He should kill me in the next couple seconds, but instead of going up and staying up, I go straight down, use my cloud to get the speed boost I need. By the way, excellent upgrade. Pick that up on Vinny. Speed boost is amazing. And then get the heck out of dodge. Now I've maxed out my build. I still have enough money for the goldfish tax, so I'm doing full damage, and eventually the other team's going to max out too. When that happens, Vinny's late game becomes terrifying. Absolutely lethal. On my bubble build right now, I've got the Alcarper, I think that's the damage upgrade, and I've got the Godfish, and I've got range. So I can sit in the back and do 9 damage per bullet fairly easily once we get later in the game, or once they farm up enough solar to be able to activate my Godfish upgrade, which is not hard. Activating a Godfish upgrade is about as easy as falling asleep. So the Ted's just putting out grenades, he's doing his best to zone. I'm going in here, I'm doing my best to kill this Lone Star, and I just can't quite aim at my stuff, but I finally managed to land a good triple volley of bubbles, dealing 27 damage. Like 27, that is a lot. I managed to dash, get the kill onto the Ted. The Yuri, I think, is going to get away, but I'm not sure how precisely. So I'm chasing. I try to chase some more, and no, he ends up dying. Good tongue by the Leon. We've got all 3 of them dead. And now we get to push. So it's at this point that the host disconnects. So I joined a losing game, and the host disconnects. Can anyone guess who the host is? The host is Ted McPain. So I came into a losing game. Instead of giving up and going, God, Ronimo, Jesus, I decided to actually give it a shot. I tried to actually play the game. And lo and behold, my team is now on the front foot. There's the red team is on the back foot. And the Ted gave up. So they had the game. They did. And they still could have won this. Like, they would not have had a hard time winning this if the Ted had just stepped up his game a little bit. But no dice. It's just now the Yuri and the Lone Star. And they are not going to get any backup because of the way that matchmaking works. At least it's very unlikely that they'll get some backup. So at this point, I noticed that there's some red dots up there. I didn't bounce all the way up the pad because I wanted a little bit of HP, and also I didn't want to jump into a gank. So there's the Yuri. I'm going to go ahead and try to corner him. I dealt some damage to him, but don't end up killing him. The Leon kills the enemy robot Leon. I dash here, and I cover up the bounce pad. He was blinded, couldn't see for a little while, and then by the time he could see stuff, he was pretty screwed, so he just stuck around. So the tongue comes out, deals a lot of damage to the Yuri, but not anywhere near enough to kill him. I do a lot of damage to the turret, and I back off because I've taken a lot of damage. A lot of damage all over the place. Just damage everywhere. And we continue our push. So right now, we're just busy pushing everywhere we can. I think that this top tower goes down here. I'm not positive. If I'm a Vinny, I should not be ever on the ground, by the way. That's just a bad idea. So I pick all that up, and I start scouting behind here. So I notice that the Yuri has the solar needed for Godfish to go off. So I can kind of just harass him and enjoy myself. And I'm just busy poking, doing the best that I can, just annoying him without dedicating myself to a fight. Now, here's where I dedicate myself to a fight, and it's a bad idea. So the Lone Star and the Yuri pretty much have me here. I'm cornered. There's not much I can do. I use the cloud to manage to juke past them. The Lone Star couldn't quite body block me, and I end up managing to get past, which was quite lucky of me. With the death of the Yuri, we are now able to push down here. So you can see the Leon is tanking a good amount of damage. He's trying to make sure that the droid doesn't die. The droid ends up dying, but I end up taking some damage. to be able to tank it, and then I go back home now that the clone is free to go ahead and do his thing. So we managed to take out that bottom turret. We've got another rocket droid coming. Our core is still alive somehow. I'm very surprised that none of them tried to backdoor, but I have a feeling that we were doing a good job of defending for the most part, but it was entirely possible, I think, that they could have backdoored. So we managed to take out both turrets. We now have easy access to the base. The Lone Star, unfortunately, didn't realize that I was coming, and by the time that he noticed that I was there, I was on top of him, and he died horribly for it. So Yuri decides, hey, you know what? Let's just call it a day. He goes in for one last assault. We're doing a lot of damage. I'm staying outside of his bubble on purpose, so that way I don't get slowed down by his time warp. And then after that, this game was toast. So, lessons to learn from this. 1, don't forget that Vinny has a mobility thing. His dash isn't just for offense. 2, never give up, because otherwise you end up like the red team, and you don't end up like the blue team. And 3, I hope you learned something about how to kind of take back a game that's being lost, like what it takes to kind of do that. So, thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. I know I sure did, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Later!